The title of this video might seem a little bit off because to me, if a person reads a comic, even just one, then they read friggin' comics. But I think the better point here is this is a list for people who don't really have comics in their main hobby or even much of a hobby at all in terms of reading comics. But these might make you jump into them or at least read these and enjoy them in a way that non-comic fans can. And that's why I wanted to make this list. I think these are kind of universally easy to read, accept, and jump into, even if you don't want to read any other comics out there. Coming in number 5 is Sex Criminal. A gateway into a good show or book is comedy. And Sex Criminal, luckily, has a lot of that with its humor, its relatability, as well as it's just made for people who probably don't care about superheroes, which is, let's be honest, about 75-80% of comics. It's not overly violent, but just enough to grab the adult audience. Its themes are sex and stopping time with sex, which is both intriguing and delightful. It's very tongue-in-cheek nature on the subject matter, and it helps make it to be a very easy read. And I know a lot of people who I've suggested this to who don't read comics really enjoy this one. My number 4 choice is 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank. I actually tested this out with 4 people who I recommended it to, and only one of them reads comics here and there. 3 of them, though, loved it, and 1 thought it was just decent. Didn't love the ending. I don't know how. I think the ending is classic. Anyway, all 4 read this, though, within a couple of days. The story of 4 kids actually formulating a plan to rob a bank sounds interesting right off the bat, but then when you have the massive amount of great humor in it, and the heartfelt moment, and an excellent ending in my opinion, it's hard not to recommend it. People who enjoyed recent movies like or TV shows like Stranger Things or the It movies for the kid dynamic will absolutely fall in love with this title, if you ask me. Coming in at number 3 is Giant Days. Easily one of the most accessible comics for people due to the subject matter and the comedy in it, just kind of like the other 2 titles. However, this focuses on 3 women in their early college days till they graduate, and it's hilarious as well as great, and it's just a great coming of age story, which is always a plus in my opinion. The art is cartoony, but in the best way possible, almost looking similar to, I say, like Nightmare Before Christmas type of look or vibe, while tackling subjects like alcohol, being gay, relationships, schooling, and all that and more. So this title to me is really easy to recommend for pretty much anybody above the age of 13. Number 2 is Kill or Be Killed. Now, it was hard really to pick one Brubaker comic because I think a lot of his stuff is really easy to read for people who don't read comics because he does a lot of great murder mysteries, crime stories, and so on. And some actually might choose Fade Out over this, which is excellent, but I think Kill or Be Killed is stronger in the end. For fans of things like Dexter, Mr. Robot, even a little bit of things like the newer shows like You, with a lot of this internal dialogue and having an interesting main lead, with a premise of having to kill or die by the devil who you kind of have to sign a contract to, but you don't know if it's in his head. It's just extremely enjoyable. It also helps that Sean Phillips is the artist, and I mean, his work is the best or one of the best in the game. So yeah, I can't recommend Kill or Be Killed enough. It's one of the best crime comics, if not the best of all time. And my number 1 choice is Saga. Now, I can't stress enough how extraordinary Saga really is, but here we go again. On top of it, it is really easy to get into. My wife isn't a huge fan of sci-fi, and in fact, neither am I, yet we ate this title up like it was nothing. The story of a husband and wife traveling across the galaxy to protect their child is simply enough, but the twists, the turns, the violence, the love, and the themes make this spectacular. There's not a lot of series out there that I would say classic, even though they're not done yet, but Saga is definitely going to go down as a classic, if not already a classic, even though it's only about halfway done. And I'm telling you guys, whether you like sci-fi or not, this is a title that you need to read. Whether you read comics or not, it's perfect. Alright, so I've been gushing about these titles, and I do love these titles, and I recommend them all, but everybody has different opinions, and there's a lot of comics out there that I think a lot of people could read that have never read comics before that they might enjoy, but I would love to see some of your ideas of what comics you would recommend to people who don't really like comics or haven't really read much and don't have much interested in probably the superhero genre. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully if you don't read comics, you pick one of these up and let me know what you think. And everybody, have a wonderful day.